All right, today we're going to learn about fluency. We're going to dive in deep on the component of fluency. Remember that fluency is just one component of what reading is, and that the main component of why we read is to comprehend, understand. But we aren't going to understand as well if we don't have good fluency. So there are three parts. The first part of fluency is speed. And that's why I have a picture of Eli running. Now, when we say speed, you might be thinking, oh, I have to read really, really fast. Nope, that's not what good fluency is. It's not as fast as you possibly can. However, you do need to have the ability to go fast. So having speed is more about the ability to go fast. Not that you're reading fast all the time, but you can when you want to. Now, one thing you need to know is that we do typically read faster when we're reading silently in our head than when we read out loud. So let me show you an example of good speed with this quote right here. "Do not judge me by my successes. Judge me by how many times I fell down and got back up again." And that's by Nelson Mandela. I read it with good speed because you could all follow along. It wasn't so fast, like, do not judge me by my successes, it wasn't so fast that it interfered with anyone's comprehension. The speed actually enhanced the comprehension. Okay, so how do we measure speed? Well, we're going to want to get a timer, right? That's a timer, not an apple. And we're going to want to time you for how many words you read in a minute. We call that words per minute. And let's say by the end of 7th grade, you read about 170 words per minute. That would be great. That's a nice goal. So how many words per minute is how we measure speed. You don't want to go too slow, don't want to go too fast, just right. You want to have this ability. It would be great to say, oh, we can all read at our own pace, and that would be really nice to say it's not bad to read slow. But reading slow will lead to frustration. For example, in social studies class, if your teacher asks you to read a quick article and then look up for discussion when you're done, if it takes you much longer than everyone else, you're going to experience frustration. Or in high school, when a teacher gives you 3 chapters to read of a novel for homework tonight, and it takes you 2 hours to read that, and it, could just take you a half hour, then you're going to be frustrated because it's eating up a lot of your time. So we want to have that speed. All right, the next aspect of fluency is accuracy. Get it spelled right there, accuracy. Accuracy, I have this picture of Eli shooting a bow and arrow because if you imagined a target here, you want to be accurate, right? Hit right in the middle there. Accuracy means that you say the words correctly. So if we look back up here at our quote, and I read each word correctly, I have 100% accuracy. But you actually don't have to be 100% to be considered accurate. It is totally normal to make mistakes. Even the very best readers do make mistakes when they're reading out loud orally. It's just part of being human. And so if you are 98% accurate, you are still considered an accurate reader. So if you think of it, for every 100 words that you read, you're allowed to make 2 mistakes and be completely normal and still accurate. If you read 200 words per minute, you would be allowed to make 4 mistakes. So that's what accuracy is. Let's talk about some of the different miscues that people can make. We like to use the word miscue instead of mistakes or errors because it just shows the natural nature of it. One kind of miscue is when you skip a word or omit it. So if I were to read this and say, "Do not judge by my successes," I skipped the word me, right? So that's a miscue, skipping a word. Another one is when you replace a word. So let's say I read, "Do not judge by my circumference. Judge me by how many." You replace the word successes with circumference. It's another real word, but it doesn't make sense there, and it completely changes the meaning of the quote. Another type of mistake is, let's say you don't know the word, so not knowing. Sometimes students will, say this, "Do not judge by my successes." Judge me by how many. So they try to sound it out, but you can tell that they don't really know the word. So we call that not knowing or a mispronounce. Squeeze it in there. There we go, mispronounce. So that's accuracy. Let me tell you one thing that is definitely okay. It's not even a miscue. It's called self-correcting. Self-correcting is awesome. So if someone's reading and they say, do not judge me by my circumference, judge me by, successes. Judge me by how many times I fell down. Okay, self-correcting is good. And you should do that. Good readers do that. So when someone self-corrects, we won't ever consider that a miscue. All right. Up next, the third and final component of fluency is expression. So fluency is speed, accuracy, and expression. Now, judging by these faces of Eli, you can guess what it means to have expression. But reading with expression isn't all about just reading like this and reading sad parts like this. Actually, it's three different things. The first thing about reading with expression is that you would do proper end punctuation. So if you look up at our quote by Nelson Mandela, it ends in a period. So I would read it like this, and got back up again. If it were ending with a question mark, I would read it like this, and got back up again? And if it ended in an exclamation point, I would read it like this, and got back up again. Notice how each one is different. Having good expression means reading end punctuation correctly. The next part is pausing at commas. So this quote does have a comma in it right here. And whenever you see a comma, you just take a little breath. Do not judge me by my successes. Judge me by how many. Did you hear the breath there? That's what you need to do as a reader too. Don't just blast right through that comma. Pause. And the final thing about having expression is phrasing. Phrasing means that you group words together. If you look at our quote here, this is what not to do. Do not judge me by my. That's reading each word individually, and you sound like a robot. Phrasing is where you group words together. So instead of saying do not judge, it's do not judge. You kind of group those words together, and that's called phrasing. So fluency is speed, accuracy, and expression.